But this is Tuesday Talks at 10:30, where every Tuesday I come and, except for last Tuesday, sorry, I wasn't available then. Hello. But last Tuesday I wasn't available, had a lot of things going on, but I am back today to talk to you about some different things that are going on, words that have been coming up to me. All right, well, I'm not seeing it, but I'll try back in a little bit, but I see a couple people are on. So lots of things are going on. We've got the women's retreat that's coming up in October. I'm here in Bel Air. Today's my last day, but I'll be back next month. We're doing a fundraiser that will be announced for the Brandon Tolson Foundation. I'm doing a gallery reading at the Lodge in Gettysburg. That's in March. Everything is on Facebook and also on my website, so feel free to go and check that out. And if you want to be a part of it, you know, just, there we go. I see it. Just let me know. I have to check it on this side too because I can't always see comments. And I know it's probably user error, something I'm doing wrong, but we've got it. I've got it up now. So I always like to set my intentions before I start. That way you know who I am and what I'm about. This is not an angel card reading. This is not a mediumship reading. This is just a Tuesday where we get together and we sit down and we talk. So my name is Stacy and I'm a child of God. I'm an evidential medium, spiritual healer. I have the ability to channel spirit using love and light for my higher good and the higher good of those that God puts in my path. I'm not the medium that says I see death all around you and you're going to be dead in 10 days. My gift, my prayer is that God's spirit angels bring the most loving healing to you at that particular time. It feels like deep within my soul, it feels like deep within my energy, I need to help heal the world. And it seems like such a big task, but I feel like if I do it one at a time, one person at a time, if I am able to help you to see things in a different light, then that helps you in the healing process. So when I went to think about Tuesday Talks at 10:30, I kept thinking about emotional blueprint, emotional architect. And when you think about those words, they seem like it would be in a negative way. But the way I see it, it's in a positive way. Like, who built your emotions? What lessons did you learn that built your emotions? How do I get to that emotion? Where's your love button, basically? What do you expect to receive from others? So over the last couple days, I've done several private readings and some gallery readings and intimate group readings. And I find that a lot of mediums will say to you that spirit does not piggyback on top of each other. The person that comes through, that's for you, and that's just how it is. I don't agree with that. I've had so many different times when I've done a reading for someone where when I'm channeling for a specific person, it means something else to someone else. So I did a reading a couple nights ago, and this man's name came up. And when his name came up, I said to myself, and I said to my clients, why do I see this man's name with the letter B? So the woman beside her had, I guess, two uncles, or had two people in her family that had the same first name. So she called him this B, basically. And then when I went over to the granddaughter, I'm like, he's telling me he's sending you bees. Well, he had a beehive. He was a beekeeper. So the coincidence of those three people, now granted, mom, daughter, grandfather, father, of course the name's going to be familiar. But for the person sitting right beside to have the same name and the letter B, and that was what she called him, and then the bees. And then when she said to me that after he passed, that the hive died, and there was a woman that was a few rows up that was like, oh my gosh. So I went to her, which if it would have been a larger crowd, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Well, her father had passed, had the same name, only used it in a shorter name. And the day he passed, the beehive also died. So there's coincidences, but there's these emotional connections to this. Like, if Spirit said to me, I'm going to send you honeybees as a sign that I'm around, I would be thinking, oh my God, why are you going to send me honeybees? Like, I mean, I think they're great and wonderful and everything, and I wouldn't want to kill one, but I don't need honeybees chasing me around. Where with this woman, it touched her heart, and it sparked a memory, an emotional memory, a visual picture of her and her grandfather with the honey hive, right? So certain things like this happen, that when situations happen around you, do you get a visual picture in your head? Does it take you back somewhere? That's your emotional blueprint. The architect was all of the days that you've learned all this wisdom and experienced all these different things. I had another, for instance, where I had two women who were sitting kind of on the end of the row, one on each side. And both of them, the fathers were farmers. They worked really hard. They passed the same way. And then Spirit came to me and said, same name, different meaning. And I didn't understand what that was, but I said it out loud. Same name, different meaning. And the two women kind of looked at each other, and I said to them, do you know each other? And they didn't know each other. So I said, okay, what was your father's name? And she said his name was Edward. And the other woman was like, oh my God. And I'm like, what's the matter? And she said, my father's last name was Edwards. So same name, different meaning. Spirit will use that to strike this emotion within you. They find a way to communicate with you unlike anybody else can, because they're in spirit. They see your energy, they see your emotions, they know when you need a little tap on the shoulder to let them know that they're around. And it'll be signs, it'll be songs, it'll be different feelings, it'll be scents, but they find a way to get your attention, to let you know they're okay and they're around you. They know what your emotional blueprint is. They know how to get to the source of how to get your attention. When my mom was alive, and I tell this story quite a lot, she wore this perfume, White Diamonds. And she wore it, like she wore it. And this was a perfume that my father got for her every year for Christmas. And I even remember having the conversation with her, like, Mom, you can wear a different perfume or not wear it so much. But this was the perfume my father liked, so she was going to wear it. But there would be times when she would wear it, it would give me an instant headache. And I was like, oh my God, right? So after she passed, I kept getting this waft of this perfume. And it brought to me giving her a rough time about wearing it. But it also brought the visual to me. Look, your father brought this for me. This is what he likes, so this is what I'm going to wear. It allowed me to see in a different way what her emotions were about the perfume because my father had bought it. But it sparked a different memory to me. So we have many, many emotions, which we all know. Some of our emotions are, like roller coasters, and they go up and down. They're created because of many different experiences that we go through. So what I have found, and hopefully I'm not going to offend or upset anybody about this, but what I have found is we tend to stress the negative emotions. I have problems with relationships because this terrible thing happened to me in the past. I can't hold a job because this terrible thing happened to me. I can't because there's always something to blame it on. And I understand I've had traumas myself. I understand we have traumatic experiences. But if you look for the peace in the chaos, maybe that traumatic experience taught you what not to be. I had a client come in, a couple nights ago, and we were just talking about the relationship that she had with one of her parents. And she was just to the point where she was fed up and was done with the verbal abuse and things like this. And I remember her saying that and I remember her saying to me, I feel like this is awful that I feel this way about my parent. And I'm thinking to her, what can we find that's good from this? People are in your life for a reason, for a season, or for life. Instead of holding on to the trauma, look at what is good about it. This person taught you how not to be a parent, and I want to thank them for teaching me that. So it's that emotional blueprint. Who's reading your blueprint? Who's bringing things through for you? Who's touching your buttons? And if the buttons are being touched in a negative way, which sounds awful, who's poking the bear? I don't know if that sounds any better, but anyway, you have a choice of how you react or respond to something. So what I try to do is have you look at the positives of even the negative things. But I'm getting off my path here a little bit, but that's okay. I'm saying what needs to be said. Our experiences have created these mental, visual things in our mind. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But if we focus on the positive things, then positive things start to happen. And we send positive energy out to the world. When I speak to someone or when someone speaks to you, does it spark certain memories about someone? I mean, we have somebody come into the shop, and if I even just hear that the woman's name is Darlene, I instantly smile. I'm like, oh, because that's my mom's name, right? I got in some perfume the other day, and I have had amber and sandalwood in for a while. This company that makes the amber and the sandalwood also makes jasmine and roses. And I was back and forth. Jasmine is a very lovely scent. Not everybody wants to smell flowery. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I had this on silent. But it's one of those things where when I smelt the roses, my grandmother, let me just put this on silent. My grandmother used to buy it looked like a chapstick perfume from Avon, the solid perfume of Roses. As soon as I smelled this perfume, I instantly thought of her. It instantly showed me like this stick perfume. I instantly could see her in, a little floral dress that she would wear with, her apron or her house coat. I could see her in her kitchen. I could, I visualize her. It brought back that memory to me where I could have smelled the roses and gone, ooh, who's going to wear this? But it brought back a memory too. So to me, I feel like my grandmother was saying to me, I'm here with you today. Smell this bottle of perfume, right? So what I want you to think about is, who are you allowing to be the architect of your emotions? What does your blueprint look like? What do you want it to look like? When you build a house, you hire someone as an architect, and then he or she does the blueprint, and you get to see where things are placed. Why wouldn't we have the same thing with our emotions? What will I allow people to say to me? Where are my boundaries? What will I say to other people? Where do I allow my mind to go? Granted, I am not the person who is always, sunshine and butterflies. I get pissed, believe me. But I'm really trying to change that and think to myself, I have a choice. I can either allow this to affect me or not to affect me. What memory does this spark for me? Because everything to me sparks a memory of something, or it creates a new memory of something. So I am always amazed at how Spirit will show me different things. And I have clients that'll say, oh, I had this dream and my loved one came through, and it was such a different dream. That's because it was a visitation. They know that when you're asleep, subconsciously, you're not running all over the place. Now, there is a difference between a visitation and a dream. If it just seems like your normal dream, but if it feels differently, if you feel like you had this conversation with this person and you could smell their, roses perfume, or You could feel the warmth of their hand, or it felt like they sat down on the bed beside you. That's a visitation. And Spirit is really good at seeing what you need and when you need it, and then they come through. And they will allow themselves to show themselves to you on an emotional, spiritual level. See, we're energy. We're both energy. We're all built up of energy. Spirit is energy and we are energy. And if our vibration is high enough, if our thought process is in the right place, where we're not always down on ourselves and negative talk and too busy, we need to get quiet sometimes and listen and ask for Spirit to talk to us. And he'll come through and they'll show you something. After my mom passed, and those of you who know me have heard this story before, and I still have Mom's phone number in my phone. I just can't take it out. But after she passed, my phone rang and it said Mom. And I stopped for a minute and I was like, oh my God. But the rational brain in me thought maybe my father picked her phone up and called me, by accident or whatever. And but when I answered it, I was like, hello? No one was on the other end. I know that was her calling me. Now, I did not ruin that feeling that I had by saying to my dad, did you accidentally call me on Mom's phone? I just wanted to leave it in my thought process. My mom called me on the phone. When we put our rationalization brains on, we lose the blessing. So that's part of our emotional architecture also, because we are so taught that 1 + 1 always equals 2. There's a science behind it. There's a reason why. Well, I would just like for you to just take a minute back and just use your imagination. And remember when you were a kid and nothing had to have a reason why. It just was. That's how Spirit energy is. It just is. When you see certain things, they just are. After my father-in-law passed, I would see 7-Eleven on the clock from time to time. That was his birthday. Instead of me going, well, it's 7-Eleven twice a day, I would be like, oh, good morning, Jerry, or good afternoon, Jerry, good evening, Jerry. Thanks for sending me that sign. Continue to send signs to me. So it's allowing you to open up the mind and letting Spirit in. There are some times when I do a reading for people and something just comes to me so off the cuff and I'll think, oh my gosh, how am I going to say that? Well, if I don't say it, I may miss an opportunity to give a blessing to someone. There was one time I was doing a reading and the woman was sitting right here where I am. And I remember I kept like touching her teeth and I'm like, what's with the teeth? What's with the teeth? And she said, my teeth are fine. I'm like, Mom, your mom keeps touching her teeth. And she was like, oh my God, I know exactly what that is. And what had happened when her mom passed, and this is when everybody was having the gold parties and selling gold. And so it was very top of mind in the media. So when her mom passed, her mom had all these dentures in a drawer or whatever from the past years, and they had gold on them. And the woman thought, oh my God, I just can't throw these out. So she actually took them to a jeweler or something and sold the dentures because of the gold that was in it. And she said, I felt so bad, but like I wasn't going to just throw it away. So her mom was coming through saying, I know you sold my dentures for the gold that was in it. But it's different things that come through that's going to spark a memory. I was doing a reading for a woman. It was in a gallery, and I kept seeing Batman. And I didn't know what Batman was. And then all of a sudden, she realized, something, that her son was legally blind and he was taking the Batman mask off, letting her know he was now able to see. So these were all part of our emotional architecture. We see things. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any comments. We all see things in a different way. Yeah, okay, so. All right, so I don't see comments. That's all right. I'll check the comments later. But we all see things in a different way. But I'm telling you, I feel like if we take the time to shift gears a little bit and think about the emotional architecture of good things that happen to us, I'm not saying to you to push down any emotional baggage that you have and not walk through it. I'm just saying, instead of being so focused on who wronged you, think about who righted you. That sounds so weird. But who did right by you? What are some of the things that are going to spark good memories for you? Spirit knows that you miss them. They know that they love you and that you love them. And they're going to show up in different ways, in different times, because they're on a different realm, a different plane than what we are. But they see our energy. They want to bring back memories to us that will just, kind of give you the warm fuzzies. I have my Uncle Glenn's hat, and I will wear it, and I swear that when I wear it, I can feel his energy with me. I can hear how he would talk to me. And I know it sounds weird, but I can visualize like how he would walk. He had this little skip to his step, and I feel like I should walk that way. When we talked about visitations at night, talk to your loved ones during the day, talk to them before you go to bed, and ask them to visit you. Ask them to send you a sign. I truly think, Spirit's up for the task. They will. And you know what? You can ask for whatever sign you want. Let me just put it that way. But I feel like if you ask them to send you a penny, or, send me a feather, send me a cardinal, that your brain will rationalize, well, birds lose feathers and people drop pennies and, cardinals, spring's coming. So ask them for something unusual. Denise and I, a couple years ago, when we were out in her pool vegging, before, I don't know if it was before a butterfly release or a gallery reading, and we're like, let's put Spirit to the test. So while we're floating around on I think we were in flamingo rafts. Denise will have to she has better memory with that than I do. I remember her looking up and going, okay, Spirit, Mom, Dad, Spirit, I want you to send me a heart in the clouds. And, she and I kept looking up in the clouds, and, for a while there was nothing. Then all of a sudden when we stopped to think about it, and then we both looked up, we're like, oh my God. And we have it on video. There was a heart in the clouds. Ask for these things. Ask. They will make it happen. They will, they'll make certain things happen that you ask for. And sometimes it's in an odd way. So, gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so I wasn't doing a reading for Denise, but I was at home, and she was feeling like there was a lot of energy here in her house. So she was messaging me about something. And keep in mind, I've never met her parents, but I feel like I know Pops and Barbara. I feel like I know them because they come to me in spirit. Not as much as what they used to when Denise and I first started working together. But I remember saying to Denise, I'm like, gosh, I'm seeing your mom holding this Bible, and it feels like there's a crocheted cross in it. And she's like, oh my God, I know exactly what that is. And she went up and she got this cross, and I don't remember what the whole circumstances around it was, but I believe that there was a verse that the cross was out, or there was something in the Bible that Denise needed to hear at that particular time. There were some other things that were going on as well during that. But I specifically remember that, and I think that it was like a pink crochet cross. Like I had these details. I could see it. It was in my hands. But that sparked a memory for Denise, whether it was from her mom or from her grandmother, but it sparked this memory. And that's what I feel like this emotional architect, this emotional blueprint, I feel like this is what they want me to talk to you about today. I put this together a little bit last night, and I just had faith to know that whatever I needed to talk about, they would bring through for me. But again, what I feel like is we're all, Deepak Chakra says, if you are depressed, you're worrying about the past. If you are anxious, you are worried about the future. It's time to get present, to heal from the past, and to be ready for the future. So I feel as if our emotional blueprints, the things that we worry about and that we're taught in this world, are to make us feel bad about ourselves. I feel like we talk negatively about ourselves. I feel like we don't feel like we're good enough. Some of it is because we're competitive, so we have to be better. And but there are things that we have learned along the way that have given us negative self-talk. So I'm just stressing to you to have positive self-talk. Talk to others in a positive way, you know. And I'm guilty of this as well. If I see a certain thing or someone doing something, you know, I may roll my eyes and think, well, that's not going to work. It's instant judgment. Why do I do that? Why do we do that? Why do we always think the worst of people instead of thinking the best of people? How do we change our own blueprint? We're the architect, right? I am in control of my emotions. I'm the architect. So why would I not stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, I need to change the way I think about this. My mom pops up certain emotions in my head and I think about them. My grandmother, you know, with the roses, friends of mine who have passed, it takes me to certain memories. But then, on the other hand, when I think of certain people who are on this earth that I've had a less than favorable conversation with, or something that has happened, it sticks with me and it'll make me feel a certain type of way. And that heaviness is hard to get rid of. So I call in God and I'm like, look, that's not who I am right now. That's part of my blueprint, but I'm changing where I'm moving things to within myself. Make sense? I didn't know exactly how I was going to talk about this, but because of past experiences that I have, sometimes I have flashbacks. Sometimes it comes back to mind and it kind of haunts me. And I think to myself, good Lord, girl, that was like 40 years ago. It's time to work through that. It's time to change that blueprint. It's time to look at, let's rearrange that blueprint. You know, maybe put the door going out so that I can work through that and allow spirit to bring good things in. The universe, spirit, however you want to talk about it, God, will give you good things and give you abundance if you invite it in. If you are stuck in a certain situation, spirit knows, God knows, you're not ready for something else. And I know people will say to you, God only gives you what you can handle, but I swear, I honestly believe God gives us so much sometimes until you finally go, oh my gosh, I can't take anymore. I get it. It's yours now. So I'm back and forth between talking about your loved ones, talking about your energy that's here on earth, and then talking about God and the universe. And they're all part of who you are. But you are the architect. Move things around. Erase them. You know, if the door doesn't work here, the window doesn't work here, erase it. Put it somewhere else. Work through this. Build up the emotional blueprint within yourself that brings joy. My daughter's birthday was the other day. And when I was looking through some of the pictures of when she was little, it took me back to so many different things with her. You know, the way she talked, the way she, you know, would walk, some of the things that she would come off with. It sparked those memories of an emotional blueprint. I could have gone to all the negative things that she'd ever done in her life that affected me. But when I look at how beautiful and how far she's come, like she's never done anything negative, you know? She's had these working lessons. Did it affect me? Sometimes. But oh my gosh, look at this beautiful girl. this woman now who is standing in front of me with, you know, two of my grandchildren who she's, you know, she's a good mom. And, you know, so I could have chosen to look at things a certain way, but I chose to look at them a different way because my emotional blueprint as mom is wanting the best for my child, is seeing so much potential within them, and then sparking back old memories of whether it was a past birthday or, you know, when she went roller skating or, you know, whatever the situation was. That's part of my blueprint. That's what's deep within me. That's the foundation of who I am. So I can have that foundation being miserable, negative, feeling unworthy, feeling like I was never good enough, feeling like I deserved some of the abuse that I received. Or I can say, you know what? That was not about me. That was about them. I have worked through it. I'm not going to allow that in my house anymore. This is my house. This is my blueprint. I'm going to allow good things to come in. I'm going to call the universe, I'm going to call God in to show me the blessings and the abundance that they want to offer to me and to show me how I can share that with others. I'm going to talk to Spirit, my mom, my uncle who have passed, friends of mine that have passed. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to ask them for guidance as well. And I'm going to allow the things of my past, I'm going to erase some of those things out of my emotional blueprint because that's not who I am anymore. I have learned lessons from that, but that's not who I am anymore. I am not this angry, abused, lonely woman anymore. I'm not. I'm a survivor. I am happy 99% of the time. But my passion is to help heal the world. And where I see the biggest problem is the world always goes towards the negative instead of the positive. Have you ever noticed when you talk to someone about something you're really excited about, and they'll say, oh, you better be careful about this. Oh, yeah, I did that before and it didn't work. They don't say, oh, man, how are you going to do that? What are you thinking about? I'm guilty of it myself. You know, I'll throw caution to the wind. If one of my kids say that they're going to try something, I'll be, you know, just be careful about this. Why do I feel like I have to? And I mean, I know I'm trying to protect them, but they're adults. So I need to try and change my emotional blueprint to say, oh my gosh, great idea. If you need help, let me know. How are you doing with it? If you want my advice. I've started to come to the point where I want to be able to say to my kids when they tell me something, do you want my advice? And if they say no, I'll go, okay. Because maybe they don't need my advice. Maybe they just want to talk about it. What is their emotional blueprint? What is they're the architect of their emotions. And how they grow, how they plan what's going on within them is part of them. And I just can be part of the foundation. And when I pass, I will hope that they'll spark memories that when I, you know, send them signs that will make them smile. You know, there's a song, I can't even think who sings it anymore. But it's, is it Leanne? I don't know if it, anyway, it's a country song. I'm not much of a country person. But the song, I Hope You Dance. And like that's, when that song came out, I remember saying to all three of my kids, like, this is my song to you. Anytime you stand by the ocean, I hope you feel small. You know, you still feel tiny by this big ocean. I hope that you give God a chance. You know, all these things, like that's my dream for you. That's my emotional architecture of how I want your blueprint to look. But you have to decide whether you want that or not. So I hope this has made sense. I haven't seen any comments, but I'll look later for comments. But like I said, for some reason, these two words, emotional blueprint, emotional architecture, they just keep popping up. I've listened to a couple meditations where it's talked about it. I was reading a book where it came up. So I know that I was supposed to talk about it, and I feel like I have the right context of how I'm talking about it, because I feel like it's so important how we create our own emotions, but we take responsibility for it. We are our own architect. If you don't take responsibility for it and you blame it on someone else, your blueprints are going to just be like, your foundation's going to be weak. You know, you're going to get emotional about things, or things are going to upset you, or start taking responsibility for your own emotions. You are that architect. Put boundaries up. If someone is constantly sucking your energy away from you, if someone is constantly making you feel less than who you are, if you're working in a job that you absolutely hate, you have a choice. Suck it up and deal with it, or change it. Change the blueprint. You know, you've heard me say time and time again, if time and money were no object, what would you want to be doing right now? To me, healing the world, talking to the world, helping the world see things in a different way, allowing spirit to come through to help heal your heart and let you know that they're only a whisper away. That's why I do private readings and gallery readings, and we're doing this women's retreat, and you know, this foundation that we're doing for the Brandon Tolson Foundation in Havre de Grace, Maryland. That's why I do what I do. I finally have figured out this is what I was meant to do. And maybe sometime down the road, the path will change. But for right now, this is it. I want to change your mind into thinking and believing that you are worthy, and that you are loved, and that God loves you, and that spirit is around you, instead of feeling hopeless and sad and unworthy and lost. Okay? So I think that's probably my soapbox for today. I like to do a lot of listening to see what my guides are saying to me as I'm talking. But I hope that this made sense. This touched your heart. This turned something on in your head where you were like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. You know, I'm only responsible for me, for what's inside of me. You know, other people can upset you, but you have to allow them to upset you. You can walk away from the situation. You can change the situation. But think about your emotional architect, the emotional blueprint of who you are, and find peace and happiness and that spiritual growth. I feel like we really need to expand our faith and our spiritual growth within the next coming months, and I feel like that's just going to help illuminate the world. So I think that's enough on my soapbox. But check the website out, check Facebook out for my events, connectingtospiritwithstacy.com, or you're on my Facebook group right now. But you know what? If you're not living the life you live, if you're not living the life you love, or loving the life you live, you're the only one that can change it. You are your own emotional architect. What's your blueprint look like? Where are your boundaries? Where's your exit doors and entrance doors? What are you allowing into your energy? What are you not allowing into your energy? Where's your mind going? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself with? That's all part of your blueprint. All right, guys, this is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. My name is Stacy Niedenthal, evidential medium, connecting to spirit with Stacy. I hope you have a great and wonderful day today, and I hope I gave you something to think about. But peace out. I love you. Make it a great day, and I will talk to you next week. All right, bye-bye.